Welcome, everyone. I'd like to say good afternoon or good morning or good evening, depending on your location in the world. I'm Eve Fabros, Online Marketing Managers with Brad Sugar's Profit Masters. We have people attending from all over the world for today's webinar entitled Advertising. Brad will show you how to get your message across to your niche market while keeping your resources in check. And throughout this webinar, please feel free to type in any questions you have into the chat window at the bottom of the control panel. Brad's team is online and will try to answer your questions, and Brad will also plan to answer some questions towards the end of today's webinar so everyone can benefit from questions being asked. Now, without further delay, I'd like to pass you on to our host and the world's #1 business coach, Brad Sugars.
Well, thanks, and it's great to be here with everybody today. Really looking forward to a very, well, I guess we got to go pretty quick today. We've got a lot to cover, and we've got a lot of information to get out. So hopefully you've got a pen and paper ready, and you're ready to take notes. So for those of you in business for yourself, this is going to be a great, powerful webinar. For those of you in marketing, definitely something you're going to look forward to learning from. We're going to get through a whole bunch on advertising, how to make advertising that works. And by works, what do we mean by that? Well, simple definition of an advertisement that works is something that actually makes more money than it costs to run. So if it costs you $1,000 to run the ad, then you've got to be able to make more than $1,000 in profits back from it. Now, you don't have to make it straight away, but you have to make it back in order to make the advertisement a good advertisement. That's really one of the things we're going to be looking at today is how do we actually make money from our marketing, not just get branding or recognition or any of that sort of stuff from it. Ultimately, we want ads to make money, hence real money advertising is what we're going to be looking at today. Now, in order to do that, we've got to understand that this is not just a webinar. I know you're on the web, you're probably in your office or at home, and definitely get yourself a notepad and pen out. Make sure that turn off your emails or whatever it is. Tweet or Facebook that you're on here and then turn it off. By the way, my Twitter is @ActionCOACHCEO. My Facebook is just facebook.com/Brad Lee Sugars. Instagram is also Brad Lee Sugars. So find me on any of those. Let's chat on them and keep in touch. Now that you've turned that off, or now that you've told the world that that's what you're doing, we've got to remember that the performance of the advertising is the most important thing. Marketing campaigns in general have to perform. Now, we're not just going to look at just advertising today, because advertising, when we look at it in all different spectrums, can be boiled down to something online. Advertising is not just magazine or newspaper or TV or radio. It can be online advertising. It can be as simple as putting an advertisement in a newsletter. It can be as simple as even sometimes just writing a very simple sales letter can be formed as advertising. Eve wants me to remind you all there's four free gifts. She'll send you the link at the end, so make sure you get her link to do that. So why are you here? Well, new clients is obviously one of the biggest things. When I started putting together a webinar on advertising, it was like people want to know how to get new business. People want to know how to get the better returns on the money that they're investing in their marketing, in their advertising. So that's really a lot of what we're going to cover today. How to get, and by the way, advertising is not just about new business. Advertising is also about, do you get the right type of customer and they keep coming back again and again. Speaking with a gentleman only a couple of days ago, and he was telling me about how his ads were bringing him a lot of response, but he wasn't getting a lot of the big ticket sales that he was after. And so we're going to look at, do your ads long-term serve you by bringing you the right people that buy from you long-term, or do they just short-term serve you? So that's an interesting one. A little bit of my story for those, and having a look at the list of countries that we have on our call today. We got a lot of people from all over the world, so that's fantastic. But on top of that, I'm sure there's some of you I haven't met yet, so a little bit more of my background. I started out as an accountant. I built ActionCOACH is probably the most well-known company of the companies I built, everything from dog food businesses to magazine publishing to you name it, beauty salons, motorhomes and RVs, musical production, all of these things that I've been involved in. And what I guess my passion is building companies, whether it's my company, your company. My passion is building businesses. Teaching is more of a calling for me, so hence the webinars, hence all of the seminars that I do. ActionCOACH is very well known and people know me for it. writing the books everyone knows for. What most people don't know is why I do webinars. Simply put, I find I can reach more people in a very effective manner. When I travel and do seminars, we have to charge a lot of money for seminars, and I don't charge people for doing the seminar. I charge them for the fact that I have to get away from home and travel across the world and do all that sort of stuff. I would do the seminars for free. It's the travel and the staying in hotels and not seeing my family. So that's why I love webinars, and hence I could do this one for free for you. So, it makes life very, very simple for all of us. So, on to the learnings of today. Hopefully you got your pen and paper ready. Let's make sure you do. Advertising results. Where does it start? Well, it starts with measuring and testing. It starts with knowing your current numbers. If you don't know your current numbers, it's very hard to change the results you're getting. So knowing where your numbers are coming from is the first priority for all of us in marketing. Knowing where your numbers are coming from. Now, if I'm going to run an advertisement, 3 things that I want to do. Number one, I want to make sure that I actually have an ability to measure. So I'm going to make some sort of an offer or put in a separate phone number or put in a separate code of some sort. I'm going to do something that allows me to measure the response to that advertisement. So I know if someone calls on this phone line or if someone calls asking for this offer, I know that that has come from that advertisement. So it makes my measurement life a whole lot easier. Second thing, I'm not going to just run one advertisement. I'm actually going to run multiple advertisements and test them against each other. Online advertising makes that very, very simple for all of us today. We can do very simple, small budget testing by putting up a very simple ad on Google Ads and saying, okay, if people search for these 10 terms, show them this headline. And you can do the same searching for those 10 terms with 10 different headlines, so you can see which one actually does get the best result. So I'm not going to do one, I'm going to do multiple. The third thing is I'm going to make sure that I keep the records of that measurement. I'm actually going to make sure I know what's happening with that advertising. I know what the response rates are. Because if I don't know the response rates to my advertising, then I can't tell you if I'm making a good or a bad decision. Remember, the main aim of advertising is for it to make money for you, not for it to just be an expenditure of money. So if our goal is to put out $10 and get back 20, we've got to measure the responses. Now, that being said, when I talk about testing, not only do we want to test different headlines, test different offers, we could test different fonts, we could test different things. Now, my book, Instant Advertising, goes through a lot of the fonts, which ones you should use and shouldn't use for different scenarios. But suffice to say, most of the time we've got to use the type of fonts, the type of pictures, all of these things that, that get attention and be able to draw and hold attention. And we'll talk more about that in a little while. But the ultimate point behind it is that the testing can go on forever. I mean, it literally can. There's so many things you can test. If you're doing a TV ad, you can test all the graphics. You can test the voiceovers. You can test the people you use in the TV ad. If you're doing radio, again, you can use all different voices, different speeds. You can have background songs, no background songs. You can have different headlines that open the radio ad. The first few words of the radio ad, the first few words of the TV ad, these are the things that get people's attention. The pictures get people's attention. We've got to look at that, and we've got to make sure that we're testing it. What does that all mean? What it all boils down to is to be good at advertising, you've got to be patient. To be good at advertising, you've got to be willing to test different things. You've got to be willing to actually be more scientific than creative. You've got to be willing to plan it so that you actually will have time to test it, and you won't just need to throw all of your budget at one ad and hope like heck it's going to work. And that, in essence, that's what happens in most business scenarios where, they got a $20,000 budget, so they throw 20 grand at it, and they wonder why it doesn't actually get them a response. Well, you've got to take, say, 2 grand of the 20 grand and do your testing with that. So do the testing with 10% of your budget. And that is, again, another rule of thumb that I use. 10% of my budget goes into testing, and then I can roll out the budget, the rest of the budget, with something that I know is going to actually work. Also, another rule of thumb in moving from tests is never go more than 10. So if I was doing, let's say I'm doing a radio ad and I've got the ad working, I would then go to 10 different stations. I wouldn't go to 100. I'd go to 10 stations, make sure it's still working. Then I'd go to 100, make sure it's still working, and then go to 1,000 and make sure it's still working. Don't ever increase the budget or the expenditure by more than 10 at a time, so that you're stepping it through and actually making sure your results are working. So is measuring important? Absolutely. Knowing your existing numbers is of vital importance. Asking every customer, by the way, how did you find out about us? By the way, how many different types of marketing have you seen? By the way, all of these very simple things that we can ask customers when they're buying from us. Now, of course, if you're doing this online, then your tracking cookies will be able to very easily be able to tell you, hey, this is where it is, this is where it's from. Hey, this is where it is, this is where it's from. That sort of stuff is very, very powerful for us. Radio, TV, newspaper, magazine, of course, you've got to ask the questions to do that. And that'll also help you in your other marketing. Maybe you're doing referrals or strategic partnerships and stuff. You're still going to measure the results of all of those. So putting together a marketing campaign, the three most important parts. I'll write them down for you, and then we'll discuss each one. Target first, offer second, medium third. What is the target? Obviously, this is the type of person you're going after. So if I want to actually go and generate new business, I need to decide on the target audience first. There's none of this actually just, hoping like heck I'm going to get the right people. There's none of this just throwing an ad in the newspaper and hoping. You've actually got to decide the target first. Don't think about which medium you're going to use until the end. The target, its rating is 10 out of 10 of importance. Okay, for an importance standpoint, getting the target right is 10 out of 10. Too often I see people want to run an advertisement, and the reality is they haven't thought about their target audiences. Who is your target audience is the primary thing. We'll get to the questions around this in a little bit. Second is the offer. It rates 5 out of 10. If you've hit the right target audience with the exact wrong offer, it doesn't matter if what your business is. It's like if you've got, let's say you hit the wrong target first with a great offer. If you hit the wrong target, like you advertise in Murray Clare motorcycle spare parts at a buy one get one free, it doesn't matter how often you've got great marketing or great offer. If you've got it in a Cosmopolitan magazine or something, it's just not going to get a result because you've got the wrong target. But the same is true for the offer. You can hit the right target audience, but if you don't make an offer, or you make a weak offer, or you make an offer that doesn't actually appeal to them, doesn't appeal to their buying motives and their buying styles, then of course your offer isn't going to be rewarded with the people buying. Third is the medium. Now again, the medium rates are 1 out of 10. The actual words you use, the methodology you use. It could be a magazine ad if you've got the right target and the right offer. It could be a newspaper. It could be a direct mail letter. It could be a sales script. It could be an email. It could be a website. The medium is what we choose after we've already decided the target and the offer. So let's make sure. Now, is that saying the medium is unimportant? No, but relative to the target, it is unimportant. So these are relative scores, 1 out of 10 versus 10 out of 10. Get the target right. That is the most important part. So let's look at targeting by asking two questions. First of all, who? Who is the ideal target market? Now, how do you find this? First and foremost, go back to your existing customer base and say, okay, who are the best customers that I've had in the past? Do an analysis of your past customers and say, all right, what clubs do they belong to? Where else do they buy things that are similar to my business but non-competitive? What newspapers do they read? What magazines are they reading or subscribing to, et cetera, et cetera. You want to look at your existing customer base as one thing. Second way to find the target audiences you're going to go after. Do your market research. Understand the market that is around you. Understand the people that are in your marketplace that are your potential buyers. Do your market analysis and understand who it is. Like I was chatting to a gentleman the other day who was opening a coffee shop. I said to him, okay, have you done any analysis of the local market? Who are the best coffee drinkers? Who are the big coffee buyers? Who are the people how many coffee buyers are there in this marketplace? What's the average spend? What are the things they're looking for, et cetera, et cetera. You've got to know your audience if you want to pick which part of the audience it is. It's like no use doing a marketing plan or advertising plan if you don't actually know who you're marketing to or who you're advertising to. So knowing that, now I would always pick two different types of market segments. I would always pick the group that is high profitability. So there'll be smaller numbers in that group, but there's definitely high profitability. But I'll also be looking at the group that have larger numbers and lower profitability. So it depends on what you're selling them at that point in time. So you've got to look at the different target audiences and see which ones you're going to go after. A couple of points around the who. First and foremost, understand what ideal customers look like. You've got to make a list of the traits of an ideal customer for you. What are the traits of them? Do they give referrals? Do they pay their bills on time? Are they nice to deal with? what are the traits that rate an ideal customer? You should come up with at least 10 traits of an ideal customer. It's hard to go and get ideal customers if you don't know what you're looking for. You know, do you want them to be repeat buyers? Do you want them to buy big ticket items, or do you want them to buy a lot of small ticket items? What is the ideal customer for you? And we rate that as an A grade customer. And then we look at a B, a basic customer. We sort of draw the line there, because there's no use trying to be all things to all people in business. You want to be all things to the right group of people. Some people want people with bad credit when they're lending money. Others want to only lend money with people who have really good credit. Different businesses have different awesome customers, different A-grade customers. So they can't deal with, they've got to be re-educated and taught how to be good customers. The D's, we've got to fire them as customers. We can't do it. Remember the 80-20 rule. Wilfredo Pareto was correct when he said that 80% of your business will come from 20% of your customers. If you haven't done that analysis of your customer base, you really need to do it. Who are the 20% that bring you 80% of your business? You know, who are the ones that give you referrals? Who are the ones that buy the most? These are the important questions for you to answer before we go and start doing any advertising. Because once you know who you're looking for, then it's a lot easier to find them. There's no use going out to just find customers. You've got to know what type of customers you want with that particular market. So I think we've covered most of these things. I guess this second point here is very important as well, that we're not looking for a massive number. We're looking for very targeted groups. We're looking for a small pond with lots of fish in it. That's the ideal way to be going after your business. If you know who your ideal customer is, who your best past customers are, who they've done business with before, where they've bought stuff from, you can go out there and actually start to do it. So work a list of 20 targeted industries or target groups that you want to go after, target markets that you want to have. They might be, you know, there's always different things that allow them to become your target audience. The easier it is to market to them, the better. And of course, the smaller the group, the easier it is. And we're not going after massive expenditure in this case. We're going after a good targeted list of people. So, next point. If we're going to build a marketing campaign, first we ask who, and then the second question under targeting our market is where. And the biggest point here is the concentration of them. I want to make sure I find them in a high-level concentration. I want to find the perfect customer for us, but I want to find them in a smaller group or in a tight-knit group. So here are some of the points we need to know about this. Every time you know who you're looking for, it becomes easier to find the where. The knowing of who is a very important aspect of it. For example, I go back to when I first learned this strategy. I was dealing a ladies' clothing store, and I sat down with our target audience, or I sat down and did a survey of our past customers and found our target audience. You know, it's interesting when you learn something is the business you remember in most of all. Or for me, it's the business I remember learning it from. What I found was that we had some great clubs that had a lot of our customers in them. What I found was that we had some great other businesses that our customers did business with. What I found was that we had some magazines and some newspapers that the majority of our customers read. So that allowed me to know where to find them. It allowed me to go and target them very well without a lot of expenditure. See, if you don't get really well targeted, you're going to have to spend a lot of money. The more targeted you are with it, the easier it is to spend less money. So once you find out who you're after, it's easy to define where you will get them. But always remember, we're not trying to get a massive number of them. We're trying to get a highly targeted audience so that our cost per customer, our cost of acquisition, if you haven't learned that one, please go back and watch my Buying Customers webinar. When you understand how much it costs you to get them, you want them more targeted so that you don't have to spend as much money actually getting them across the line. So first is target, where we ask who and where. Then we've got to go to a second point. We've got to go from who and where to what and why. Well, let's start with the what part of it first, because this is where we craft our offer. Remember, target is most important. Now we go to crafting our offer. We have to ask the question, what is your offer going to be, which comes from what do they want to buy, and it's what do they really want to buy. You know, the old saying of no one ever wanted to buy a drill, they just wanted to buy a hole in the wall is very true for every type of business. So what is it people really want to buy from your business? Like for me, Action Coach is a business coaching company. No one really actually wants to buy a business coach. No one actually wants to have someone every week calling them up and coaching them. What they want really is the end result of that: better business, more profitability, less hours. You know, what you want from a business coach is different to the actual methodology, the why, the what you really want, the real thing. So your offer has to talk to, or has to answer the question, or deal with the thing that they really want. If you're looking for what they really want to buy, then that's where your offer crafting starts. That's part of understanding the psychology of the buyer. And it's hard to craft an offer if we don't get the psychology of the buyer correct. So things that we need to understand in the what side of it is very important as well. Every time we craft an offer, well, let's go back to it as a very simple thing. If we're going to craft a good offer, what is the reason for the offer? The reason for an offer is to get people to actually take action now. The reason for an offer is to get people to pick up the phone, to click a button, to walk into your business, to do something. A reason for the offer is to get an activity happening right now. Now, sometimes the offer is a two-step process. Sometimes the offer is simply, an information kit, a CD, or sometimes the offer is a download of white paper. The offer doesn't always have to be for someone to buy something first time round, but you always need to make an offer so that people can respond. I go to a lot of websites and I see that there's just no offers on the website, so how do people give you their name and email address? A lot of advertisements that you see where they just don't even have any form of response they're not asking you to do something. Well, what if instead of just making an advertisement, you actually ask people to call now for a free information kit, or call for a DVD, or, download this, hit this website and get that, hit a QR and get it, and scan it into your phone and get this free offer. There's always a thing that we can do to get that. Now, why do I say discounting is the worst offer? Well, think about it. If you run an ad with a discount in it, what type of customer are you attracting? You're attracting a customer who wants things cheap. Now, does that match your ideal customer profile? In most cases, it doesn't. You don't want a cheap customer. Why? Because the next time they see an ad for something that's cheap, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go there. There's no loyalty in discount customers. So when we look at some of the offers that we can, and literally in the book I have 17 different offers that you can go through, but in this particular case, let's just discuss a couple. So free, we've already mentioned. Buy one, get one free. Why does that work? Well, it's far better than half price or 50% off, because they pay the full price, but they get another one for free, which costs you a whole lot less than that. Remember, adding value is far more prevalent than discounting, or far more powerful than discounting. Time-based offers are important. You have this offer for the next 24 hours. Limited offers, limited to the first 30 people that call. Or, people say, oh, does that stuff still work anymore? Yes, it does. The psychology of the human being is still the psychology of the human being. The fear of missing out is still alive and well. Scarcity is still in the mindset of most human beings, and you have to use it in your advertising. Two of the greatest books I ever read on advertising, one of them is called My Life in Advertising. It's a joined book with scientific advertising by Claude Hopkins, written in the 1920s. Phenomenal book. And then John Capel's Tested Advertising Methods. These books are way, way, way back, but they still cover some of the basics so very well, better than most books I've read since. So once we know who and where, then we've got to ask what is it they really want to buy, and now we have to get into the emotions. We have to get into the benefits to the customer at a very deep level. Emotions are a very important aspect in marketing. Emotions are a very important part of advertising. When you look at a good advertisement on TV, it sparks an emotion in the people. In many cases, multiple emotions. If you take a look at a good a good movie trail, the movie advertisements, they take you through a roller coaster ride of emotions just in the 60 seconds, telling you what the movie's about. So when we think about emotions, if I'm selling your product, if I look at your advertisements, what emotion is actually being brought out by your advertisement? If you look at your advertisement and the only emotion is boredom, then of course your advertising is going to struggle to work. Your advertising must bring out some sort of an emotion, some sort of a feeling in the people that you've got. So when we're deciding on why, we've got to tune into the old what's in it for me, radio WIIFM. If we don't understand what's in it for them at that basic level, we're going to struggle. So the way I always work through that is I work through fact, advantage, and benefit. FAB, fact, advantage, benefit. So list off a fact about your product or service. Then list the advantage of that product or service, and then list the benefit. So let's say I'm selling tires, and the fact of the tire, it is a steel belted radial. Fantastic, it's steel belted. What's the advantage of that? It is a stronger, sturdier tire. What is the benefit to the end consumer? And this is where you've got to get emotional. It provides for a safer ride so your family will live longer. If you look at some of the best TV ads for tires, it's all emotion. It's all about saving the family. You know, it's not about the facts of the tire. It's not about this one is this many inches thick and it has this level of rubber compound and has this and this and this. No, it's not about the data and details. It's about the emotion. We've got to get from facts and advantages to the actual emotional benefit. Too many advertisers stop short with just the advantage. You know, this is great, but they don't get to emotion. If you don't get to emotion, how do you expect to make a change in the way people buy from you? Very important part of it that you've got to be focused in on as a marketer, okay? Always get to the emotion. I use two different sets of words that get my mind, so that, or, and what this means to you is. If I'm using the word so that, I know I'm getting myself to a benefit. If I'm using and what this means to you is, I know I'm getting to that. Now, if you take a look at anything, I would always never stop at just one emotional benefit, never stop at just one thing. I always try and push myself to get 11 reasons around it so that then I've got the best ones. You know, ultimately your headline and your sub-headlines are going to include some of these whys. You've got to get to those emotions if you want people to buy. If you just want people to go, wow, that's a good ad, talk about facts and advantages. If you want people to actually make a purchase, to pick up the phone, you've got to get to an emotion that is sparks for them. So, you know, it's like for me as a business coach, why emotionally do people choose to work with us, or why emotionally they do it? Well, the emotions is sometimes frustration. So that's one emotion that we have to deal with in our marketing. Sometimes the emotion is, you know, more of a positive, I guess, is probably the simplest way to determine it, more of a positive. So we could have frustration on the negative, and on the positive we could have passion, we could have enthusiasm. There's all these emotions that you have to appeal to get people to make a decision on this sort of stuff, both negative emotions and positive. And that's a really important point to understand, that don't just deal with positive emotions and don't just deal with negative emotions. You've got to do both. You've almost got to take people through the roller coaster in your advertising and in your marketing pieces so that they do that. So once we've asked who and where and what and why, now we've got to ask the question of how. How will you communicate your offer to them? This is where you choose the medium. At this point, you choose, is it going to be a magazine article? Is it going to be a radio interview? Is it going to be a radio advertisement? Is it going to be a newsletter? Is it going to be a magazine advertisement, a TV advertisement? Is it going to be a PR campaign? You know, you've now got to decide the medium. And really, when it comes to the medium, cost effectiveness is a very big part of my decision making. You know, is it cost effective to run this advertisement? Is it cost effective to do it this way? So we're looking for cost effectiveness. By the way, gang, if you are coming up with any questions, please feel free to just type them into the question window. I won't answer them straight away. My team is available to answer your questions, but I will get to as many questions as I can at the end of today and make sure that we do have answers for you. So when you're asking how to communicate your offer to people, you've really got to sit down and look at cost effectiveness of the medium of communication. Other points around how. You've got to start thinking about not just doing it in one way. You've got to start thinking about hitting them in many different methodologies. If you always think about it as one, divide to multiply, that's my definition of, or the mathematical formula for leverage. You've got to start thinking of how am I going to communicate with them in multiple methodologies. So let's say you have a target audience, and let's say your target audience is I don't know, you're selling a software and you're selling it to accountants, let's say, as an example. So you've gone through, you've done your who, you've done your where, you've done all of that sort of stuff. You're not going to end up with just one methodology. You're going to end up with multiple. You say, okay, I need to target the accountants. I need to advertise in the newsletter that goes out to all of them. I need to be on the website that they all refer to get their documents from. I need to be in direct mail to all of them so that I can get to them. I need to be at strategic partnerships with people who are already doing business with the accountants. I need to be, and so on and so on. Don't think of how as finding the one silver bullet. Think of how as finding as many hows as you possibly can. It's not one way, it's multiple. Now, obviously, I've written lots of books on these subjects. You can go to my other websites, bradsfreeebooks.com or actioncoach.com. There's plenty of articles on actioncoach.com on how to do this stuff. I don't want to get into the exact how-tos of every type of marketing there is today. We're going to focus on advertising. All of the other campaigns you can go and do. You've got to measure it. You've got to test it. You know, any of these things, you can break it down. Now, not only that, let's say you break it down and you work out advertising. Well, don't just think of advertising as one methodology. Don't even think of TV advertising as just one methodology. You've got to think of TV. Well, how many different, if you look at TV, how many different McDonald's commercials do you see that are all targeting different audiences with different products or different focuses in each one? Don't just think of it as getting one ad that works. Think of it as there's possibly multiple ads that could work in that medium. This is where a lot of people get very short-sighted in their marketing. It's like online advertising. This one's a brilliant one for this example where you can sit down and instead of just having one ad in Google advertising and running it as often as you can, you can literally have hundreds and hundreds of Google ads running, targeting different small segments of audience, targeting slightly different searches, targeting slightly different search terms with different headlines, different things. Because you might want one headline that targets women aged 20 to 30 and a different headline that targets women aged 40 to 50. You might have one headline for men that work out and one headline for men that go running and one headline for men that swim, one headline for men that cycle. You know, you've got all different headlines and all different advertising based on the very small target segments that you're going after. Again, the how is not always a single answer. The how is most of the time a multi-pronged answer. It's many different ways, and within those many different ways, there are, again, many different ways. So think of it as a divide and multiply. Think of it as how many different methodologies can I use to get to this number of people. Then you've got to work out the copy. What are the actual, you know, what is the message going to be written down? What are the words that you're going to use? What is the way that you know, the copy, the words is a very important aspect of any marketing campaign. So let's take a look at putting those things together. So you're going to build an ad. Let's say that you've chosen through all of that stuff, advertising is the right thing for you. Now, do you want an ad that builds your image or do you want an ad that actually gets you a response? Of course, we know my answer to that. I want an ad that brings response. I want salesmanship. I want the advertisement to sell stuff for me. I want them to get them. I want it to get people to call my salespeople. I want it to get people to make the step and take the action so that I actually know who they are and what they want to buy. Or I want them to call me up straight away. So that goes back to the old advertising formula of AIDA: attention, interest, desire, and action. How do you get their attention? How do you hold their interest? How do you build their desire and then get them to take action? That is essentially what every good salesperson does. It's essentially what you do when you go networking. It's essentially what you do when you're writing an advertisement or a sales letter or building a website or doing any of this stuff. Any email you send out should be grab their attention, build their interest, build their desire, and get them to take action. You know, if your marketing is not following the AIDA principles of getting them through this, of course it's not going to be working. So let's take a look at it in a little more detail. Attention. In any advertisement, there is a headline. Now, I don't care if it's a radio ad, if there is a TV ad, or if it's a newspaper or magazine. Now, of course, in newspaper, it's the words you use that is the headline. Of course, in radio, it's the spoken word that will be the headline, the first thing. Even down to you use headlines if you're telemarketing people. The first words out of your mouth need to be a headline. It needs to be the biggest major benefit of this product or service, the biggest major benefit of watching this advertisement, the biggest major benefit of what you're doing needs to be to grab their attention. Worst headline you can make, you know it, the company name. People seem to think that because big businesses can do that because they're doing branding, building, advertising, that small to medium can. No, you can't. You can't afford to do it that way. Next, the word you should be in most headlines. Here's how you can do this. Here's why you do that. You know, you can get this. You can be a black belt in karate. You can, you know, it's the you aspect of it. So the reader actually relates to it and says, hey, they're talking to me. You know, don't use the word I, we, or us. It's crazy the number of people that write the word we this, we that, we this. It's like we all the way home. They're the three little pigs. They wonder why their house gets blown down. Goodness me, we've got to focus on the customer and the benefits to them. If I read your sales letters right now, are they full of the words we, I, our, you know, or are they full of you get this, you will benefit from, you this? You've got to use the word you across all of your marketing platforms. Now, I want to, in my headline, open some form of a loop. I want the headline to promise something that the only way they can understand that promise is to read the advertisement, is to listen to the advertisement, is to click on the website, or is to click on the thing. Open a loop that my mind is now going to go crazy with, hang on, there were 7 reasons why this. I don't know what they are. I've got to click on the link to be able to find out what the 7 reasons are. Very important part of building great advertisements. Next, qualifying the right readers. You've all seen those stupid advertisements where people put the word sex at the top of it. Now that I've got your attention, let me sell you a bicycle pump. What an idiot thing to do. You've got to qualify the right readers, down to the fact that, like, sometimes I've even written advertisements. If I want business owners to read the ad, guess what I put at the top of the ad? Business owners. And amazingly enough, who reads the advertisement? Business owners do. Or, you know, sometimes I'll write an open letter to business owners or an open letter to Toyota Camry owners. I mean, you've got to understand that if you want to write an advertisement headline, it's got to be part of the job of the headline to qualify the right readers. And this is an interesting thing. People say you want it to be short. No, usually I want my headline to be a little longer. How come? The right reader will read as much as they need to in order to make the purchase. Of course, people who are not interested won't read very much. Of course, people who are not interested won't stay and watch your infomercial or won't stay and do that. The people who are interested, guess what? They will watch, listen to, and read as much as they need to make the thing. Benefits has to be the major part of the headline. You know, you've gone back when we're putting together our offer, you've looked at the benefits that people want, you've looked at the emotions that you have to target, and of course you've said, okay, how do I actually get their attention with this stuff, okay? Now, if I'm writing a magazine article, a magazine ad, or a newspaper ad, I will want 20 to 25% of the space of the ad to be the headline. So it needs to be big. It needs to be bold. It's like a newspaper article. You know, they put the headline up there to grab your attention. They want to do that. If you look at any great websites, they have a good-sized headline that grabs your attention and leads you into it. We're not trying to be small in this here. We're using our space to be able to grab the attention of the potential buyer, and that's what we're looking to do. Now, I use a bunch of different starters for headlines, and you can write all of these down because I want you to have them as an example. Now, I have a whole bunch more in the book, but you can start with this stuff here, where it is that you can do it. How to do this, or how you can do this. The hows is a very important opener. It opens that loop in people's minds. Here's how and here's why. I love those ones as good starters. 7 reasons why. And then obviously the body of your ad has to be the 7 reasons. 7 out of 10. Now, of course, you've got to have the research to back that up, but it could be 8 out of 10. It could be 9 out of 10, whatever the number is. Advice for mothers get ready to give birth. Advice for parents of teenage children. It's a great one to get people in. Wanted. 4 people to become multi-millionaires. Wanted. People who want better cleaning in their bathroom, these sorts of things. Announcing is another great one when you see it done, and you can do it on radio, you can do it here. All of these work across the board. At last, someone's found a cure for this, or at last, someone has found a way for you to achieve your financial freedom. These sorts of things are very much a part of it. Now you can this, now you can that. It's a very good starting point. Free is also a very good starter. Reader group, that's the one I mentioned, where I have business owners at the top, or karate experts, or whatever it is, the reader group that you're targeting, that you're going after. And of course the word you, I think we focused on that one fairly heavily. Write all those down, because when you go to write some headlines, use these as starters to get your brain thinking. I will always write pages and pages of headlines when I'm starting out. I use these to get my mind focused. I'll write half a dozen how-tos, half a dozen how you can, half a dozen wanteds, and it gets me thinking. But also, all of those words that I'm writing won't go to waste. I'll use them in my advertisement. I'll use them as sub-headlines. I'll use them as body copy in the text. I'll use them throughout the advertisement or the sales letter or whatever it is I'm writing. So still, getting attention. What are the other methodologies we use? Layout and pictures are a definite big part of attention gaining. So what are we trying to do? If I'm running an advertisement in a magazine or newspaper, I want the early right-hand page, the right-hand edge. It's the most read. I want the top third of it to be an advertisement, to be a picture. I want the picture up the top. I want to see it. I want a head and shoulders shot of people. I want them looking in towards the ad, not away from the ad if their eyes are looking somewhere. I want to use the picture. Every picture's got to have people in it. I don't just want a picture of a slide. If I'm selling slippery slides, I want a picture of someone going down the slide. I want humans in my pictures. Always got to have humans so people can picture themselves in there. If I can get out of the gutter, which is where the fold of the magazine or the fold of the newspaper is, I definitely want to be out of there. Same is for websites. Of course, you want to be in where the most eyes are attracted to. These are some of the things that we have to look at when we're building this sort of stuff and doing our advertising time and time again. Obviously, you don't want your name at the top. You want it at the bottom. You want the contact details bottom right, because that's where people's eyes go, top left to bottom right. And whether it's online, whether it's a letter, whether it's an email, this is the way we want to put it. If I'm doing a small ad, I'll put a dashed border around it so people will cut it out. People will focus on this stuff. So then you've got to keep their interest. How do you do that? Well, the words you use have got to keep their interest. The font you use has to be a part of it, and the layout also becomes a part of it. The words, obviously, stay with that radio station, WIIFM, what's in it for me. Usually I'll use a Times New Roman. I will use upper and lower case in my headline and then go into just sentence case for the rest of it. Why Times New Roman? You see these little feet across the bottom here? They're called a serif. And so we want serifs on our thing. No italics. I don't want big capitals or underlining. It doesn't work. It stops people's eyes. It doesn't actually. It'll attract them to that one point, but then they'll stop reading and have a reason to leave your advertisement or leave your thing that you're doing. We use columns and short paragraphs. Why do we do that? I mean, if you look at it, why do newspapers use this stuff? Because they've done the scientific testing of how to keep people reading. Why do magazines use it? They've done the testing of what keeps people reading. Always caption under the photograph. It's another methodology of grabbing people and getting them to another point. I use sub-headlines throughout it. Why? It's another way of getting someone that might be leaving the ad to jump back into it. It's another way of getting someone to read and stay with me. Desire. You've got to use emotional words to build desire. You can't just use boring wording. You've got to get to the benefits. You've got to get to the emotion to be able to do that. I like testimonials, and in your website, you don't have to have written testimonials. You can use video testimonials, all sorts of different things. In your emails, you can use video testimonials, not just written. Make sure you use pictures and real names when you're doing your testimonials. You've got to hit the benefits. You've got to do all that stuff in as many ways as possible, as many benefits as you can hit on, with as much emotion and as much power words as you can use to get people's desire up. And then, of course, taking action. You've got to make it easy for people. If you want them to buy, if you want them to call you, you've got to give them a methodology. Know that here's the phone number, here's the website, here's the this. Give them as many methodologies as to take action as you possibly can. That's a very important aspect of doing this stuff. Excuse me, AIDA works if you work it. You've got to ask them to take action. You've got to tell them, please pick up the phone right now. If the lines are busy, please call back. You don't just tell them, hey, pick up the phone and call now. You tell them exactly what you want to do. Call now with your credit card handy. You write this stuff in your ads. You put it in your radio. You put it on your TV. You put it on your website. You give people many different methodologies to act, many different buttons to click, many different ways to respond. As many as you can, you want to do those things. So can you put this stuff into action? Yes, you can. I use this picture, and hopefully you've seen this picture before. Young Nick Vujicic and this beautiful girl, Bethany Hamilton. She's one of my daughter's favorites. She thinks she's phenomenal, which she is. Here's a girl with every reason in the world not to succeed, and she does. Nick Vujicic, here's a guy with every reason in the world not to be killing it, and he does. So what can you do? Let's summarize, first of all, what we've learned and then work out how to put it into practice. First of all, measuring, got to be done. Testing, you've got to make sure you invest 10% of your budget testing rather than just jumping straight in the deep end. Ideal customer, you've got to know who your ideal customer is and rate them on that scale. It doesn't mean you've got to get rid of some of your existing customers. They just don't make the grade. Targeting, the questions of who and where. Offer. You know, when we're putting together an offer, remember the what and why is that getting to emotions, knowing what they really want and why emotionally are they looking for it. The how, remember cost effectiveness. The copy, remember you've got to test different words in your copy. You've got to do all sorts of different aspects of it. AIDA, we've just covered that. FAB, fact, advantage, and benefit. You've got to make sure you get to that benefit. And you've got to invest money in advertising. You can't expect to get new customers if you're not putting more money out there actually aiming to get new customers. If you're just throwing, you know, a few dollars at it, don't expect big growth in your business. You've got to invest the money to make the money, but test it and measure it first so you know. So can you do all those things that we started with in the beginning? Absolutely. Might you still need some more reading and some more learning? Most definitely. For most of us, today is just the starting point. Today is not the ending point of all of our knowledge. We've actually got to do it. So get on Amazon, buy my books, go and do whatever you need to do to learn the information you need to learn in order to be able to get this stuff working for you. Now, to get it implemented, to actually get some ads running for you, you've got to take action. You've got to do this stuff. Measure what you're already doing. Know that you've got to test it. Start writing different headlines. But also you're probably going to need some more knowledge, not just for you, but also for your staff. So give me 2 minutes on this, and then I'm going to answer all your questions. By the way, if you haven't typed a question in, please go to the chat box, type in your questions right now so that I can get to them as soon as I can. I've got about 4 more minutes before I get to questions. And we'll take as many questions on advertising as we can get. So I want you to join my business school. Why do I want you to join my business school? 3 main reasons. Number 1 reason, I want you to implement what you're learning about. I don't just want you to jump in and think, hey, that was a great webinar, and then not do anything. Remember, I called my company Action Coach, not, gee, that was a nice webinar, coach. I want you to join it for 3 reasons. Number 1, so that you take action. Number 2, because there's more knowledge needed to make all of this work. No use getting new leads from your advertising if you don't know how to sell them, if you don't know how to actually convert them into lifelong customers, all of that sort of stuff. And number 3 is your staff need this knowledge as much or more than you do. It's not just about you learning, it's about your staff. So here's the 3 different levels you can start at. I'll run through them pretty quick so that you understand it. Our first level is for your staff training videos. There are 83 staff training videos. If you were to go and buy these separately, you'd pay $2 grand. Here's the deal. Today, right now, and I'm going to get Eve to send you in the chat window of your box, I'm going to get her to send you the link so that you can go straight to our website and you can get this for $97. Not $2 grand if you buy them all separately, but for $97, all you need to do is click on the link, go through there and put it in. It comes with a money-back guarantee, so you've got no chance of losing. Put your staff through this training for the next 83 days. That's 12 weeks of training. Every day they get it. You'll see the link there, bradsugarsprofitmasters.com/webinar offer. Great. Next level of this, I want you to go to business school. I've got 11 webinars that is my business school for you. Not just today's webinar, but 11 more webinars that you need to learn. Sales, billionaire training. You've got to learn wealth, gang. There's no 2 ways about it. You've got to learn how to multiply the bottom line of your business. You've got to learn more on how to buy and build companies so you know what you should be looking for if you're even looking to get into business. Then you've got to learn all of the areas of getting great people. You've got to learn how to lead these people and ultimately how to do the work once and get paid forever, how to build a business that works so that you don't have to. I'm coming to your questions. Keep typing them in. I've probably got more room for a couple more questions in there. So your business school, your team's training and your business school together, so they're 97, add it all together rather than paying the thousands of dollars, just $397. So you get both their training and yours for $397. Why so cheap? It's online, gang. It makes life so easy, and I get you getting results, and everybody's happy with it from that perspective. Your guarantee, your money-back guarantee is very, very simple. If you don't love everything that's on there, I'll give you your money back, and guess what? you get to keep everything. It's as simple as that. You have zero risk. So put it on a credit card. In fact, if you don't love it, we'll refund it on your credit card before you even, have your credit card bill come through. That's how confident I am you will love it. Now, my total entrepreneurial business school, this is for those who want to go to the ultimate level. This is the big one. This has all of my trainings, everything that you need to learn how to be wealthy, everything you need to learn how to be a great entrepreneur, to run a great business, to invest in real estate, to be that person that creates the wealth. 5 days of my entrepreneurs training. All of this stuff is actually on video in the training course. $17,000 you would have to pay to attend all of those. All the marketing stuff that is in there, it's ready for you. Days and days of audio training programs, literally thousands of dollars worth of value in all of this stuff. If you decide in the next 7 minutes to come join us, if you decide in the next 7 minutes, and I will get to your questions in 1 more minute, if you decide to come and join us, I'm also going to throw in all of the ebooks, all of the white papers, all of everything that I've ever written on the subject of growing a business is all in there. It's yours. How to build referrals, host beneficiaries, everything is yours, ready to read and go through it. All of the tools we use, the measurement tools, the strategies, the things you can do, questionnaires that you use to decide your business. Mentors galore I've interviewed, and I interview them again all the time. I just added another couple of great interviews up on there. They're yours every single day. You can listen to them over and over again. Your team can listen to them. You can train your team in all of the aspects you want them to. Your entrepreneurial business school is not 20 grand. It's not 10 grand. It's $997. Simple as that, gang. And again, 200% money back guarantee. You get your money back and you get to keep it. So up to you. Those who make a quick decision, I'm going to give you 1 hour with one of my coaches. I have coaches in 53 countries around the world. So most of the countries that are represented here, I have a coach. If not, one of them will do it on the phone with you. That will be yours free of charge when you join. So the 11 webinars, you can start tomorrow on these things. Jump in, join, you get the training for your team and all of the entrepreneurial training. All right, to the questions we go. Advertising and marketing is the thing that we need to look at. Let's take a look at exactly what it is and exactly how we do this stuff. Brad, how do I advertise when I'm in a, okay, so some of you will be in like a medical industry or an industry where they don't really allow you to advertise a lot. What I suggest in those cases is what you actually look for is some form of educational material that you can create, be it a CD, be it a white paper, be it a seminar that you can present, and actually advertise that, not advertising the actual care. So advertise the thing, not the actual care. And of course, the thing convinces people to come and get the actual care. That's really what it is about, different aspects. Brad, how do you decide? Okay, how do you decide when you? I'll go back in the question. Are these mediums effective? And they've listed off a bunch of mediums. Well, what mediums are effective is dependent on the target audience and the other things. Remember, don't go to medium first. And this is always a strategic battle I have with people trying to market their business. Is they go straight to, how do I do this? How do I write this radio ad? Well, hang on. Who's the target audience? Where are those? So first and foremost, to work out if a medium is effective, you've got to know it. Now, if the medium has been around for a long period of time, guess what? Yes, it's effective. If TV, people say TV doesn't work. Of course TV works, but you've got to find the methodology that makes it effective and the target audience that you want to make it effective to you. You can't just think it's going to be effective for everybody all the time. You've actually got to measure and test and do all those things. I still remember when I was doing a radio advertisement for one of my businesses in dog food, we literally did 83 different advertisements before we got the right one running for us. So don't think it'll come up straight away. This is something. Okay. All right. Here's the thing. So someone said here they've printed some posters. Where should they hang them? Well, again, that's going medium first. Why print posters if you don't already know where you're going to put them, and if you don't already know who the target audience is that's going to read those things? This is why a lot of people lose money on marketing, because they don't think it through. They don't strategically develop their marketing campaign. They just go and print something they think would look good, and they go and do that sort of stuff. Make sure that you're looking for these sorts of things. Next one. Brad, I only have a small marketing budget. Where should I start? Well, where you should start with a small marketing budget is testing. Don't think that because you've got a small budget, you should only do one type of campaign. Think about it as to do that. Now, by the way, this is a very important aspect. Why do most small businesses not succeed? They don't succeed because they don't actually set a budget aside in the beginning. They go out there and they spend all of their capital on setting up their little restaurant, and they have no money available for marketing, and they wonder why they don't succeed. Unfortunately, too many people watch that damn Kevin Costner movie, Build It and They Will Come. I think it's actually the 30th anniversary of that movie right now, Field of Dreams. But the reality is you've got to, the truth is not build it and they will come. Build it, do amazing marketing, give them great customer service, and they will come. It's not just building it and hanging out a shingle that actually makes people do that stuff. It's really good, getting results is what actually makes the difference. Peter asked, what's the best way to start marketing when you're in your own apparel business? Well, Peter, again, go back to the targets. Sometimes it's not about advertising when you first start out. Sometimes it's about direct targeted. Maybe you want to run some fashion parades for very well targeted groups that are ready to buy from you. Maybe you want to actually go and make an offer to another business to refer their customers to your business by giving away a small product. These are some of the things that we want to look at. Don't start with the assumption that you have to advertise. Start with the assumption that you have to do good marketing to the right target audience. Do your market research. Understand where your target market is. Understand the right people that want to buy from you. Once you've got all that information, then advertising is very, very simple. Advertising is not the first choice. Advertising is sometimes the choice. Make sure that you work it from that perspective. Last question I've got time for today. How do you determine how much your budget should be for advertising? Well, it really comes down to multiple things, but you really read my book, Buying Customers, or go back and watch my webinar, Buying Customers. The reality of it is that a marketing budget or an advertising budget is determined by how fast you want to grow the business. If you want to get a lot of new customers, of course, you've got to have more money into advertising and marketing. If you don't want to grow that fast, you don't need that much money into advertising and marketing. It all comes down to the speed with which you want to actually, present this thing in your business. So if we come down to it and say, where are we going to go from here? I want you to join my business school. I want you to be a part of my business school. Why is it so cheap? Because it's online. I don't have to travel, and I want as many people to get to this thing as possible. Yes, I should be charging 10 or 20 grand for the amount of information in this thing. Look, start out at our $97. You will see at $97, that's literally like $1.50 for each training session for your staff, $1.50 to train your staff per day for the next 12 weeks, and then you'll run through them again. It's definitely something you can cycle through. It's crazy to sit down and start thinking how easy this is for you to grow your business. Take the step, join us. Eve, I want you to give everyone their 4 free gifts. But listen, join me in the business school. Let us know how you're going. Love to chat with you. Take care. Bye for now.
Thank you so much, Brad, for these money-making strategies on advertising. This is Eve Fabros, and I want to thank you all for attending today's webinar. We hope you learned some brand new strategies from Brad that you can start implementing in your business today. For everyone who's attended today's webinar, Brad does want to give you these 4 free gifts. Go ahead and click on the link that I've posted into your chat window. That link will then take you to our page. There we go. So wait for my screen to pop up. So if you click on that link, you will be taken to our web page where you can go ahead and request your 4 free gifts. It's actually an access to Brad Sugar's Profit Masters, but gives you only the free gift membership access. So what you'll want to do is click on this link, go ahead and type in your information, your email address, and when you hit sign up now, it will create a Profit Masters login access for you and pull you right into the membership that will give you your 4 free gifts. So again, you should see this screen once you log in. And for those of you who are getting an error, I'll let you know that you probably have a Profit Masters login already, and that is the reason why you're getting an error. And after I show you what 4 free gifts are in the Profit Masters for everyone, I'll show you how to request a new login so that those of you who are getting an error can go ahead and still access your 4 free gifts. So on this dashboard, you'll see access to the live online webinar gifts. If you click on that, you'll have access to the 4 free gifts. So what we have promised you is a free business health check. What that will do is ask you approximately 20 questions about how your business is and give you a checkup report after to show you what areas you can improve on. Next, we have our 10 Business Basics video. Brad discussed for $97 you can get 83 videos, and in your free webinar gift access, you will have access to the first 10. So you'll have 7 in the first week, and then 3 more in the second week. So that's a total of 10. And then we've also included 3 of our popular Action Coach books. One is 6 Mistakes to Avoid Using Social Media, 5 Mistakes in Team Building, and 4 of the Biggest Mistakes on Generating Leads. And then just to take you back to the dashboard, so again, those are all your 4 free gifts. We will also be sending everyone a request to subscribe to our Action Coach Action Steps newsletter that we send out to subscribers about once a month. So right underneath the live online webinars, you'll also have access to every single live online webinar series that Brad has done for almost the past year. So today's on advertising will also be in here. So what's nice is once you access your membership site, you'll have access to your 4 free gifts as well as access to all his live online webinars he's done. All right, so for those of you who were getting an error, what I want you to do is go to this next URL that I'm going to put into your chat window, okay? So go ahead and click on that URL. And when you click on it, you'll be taken to this Forgot Your Password screen. And all you do is enter your email address and reset my password. And what will happen is the system will resend your working free gift webinar access to your email address. It's that simple. So lastly, I just want to review all the 3 memberships that are available in Profit Masters. We outlined the Business Basics. Those are 83 very short videos, only less than 5 minutes long, and they're basically meant for you and your team to watch on a daily basis to get your team's mindset all in gear for a positive and profitable day. The entrepreneur level actually adds 11 days of Brad's popular entrepreneurial webinar series that he had done last year quite a few times. So you'll get your Business Basics plus these 11 webinar series videos. And then the best value would be his Billionaire in Training membership level. For only $997, you'll have access to all of Brad's ebooks. That's like over 1,000 pages of ebooks and white papers and tools. You'll have access to a number of his seminars that he was doing live, like Sales Rich and Mind Rich. So, I mean, look at Sales Rich. There's over 15 hours worth of knowledge and teaching that Brad does. Then he has a number of audios available. So again, you're going to get over 74 hours and 46 minutes of video, 18 hours and 46 videos of or minutes of audio, and over 1,000 pages of ebook. And as Brad mentioned, he's actually giving you a 200% guarantee. So there's really nothing to lose. If you are not finding value in it, we will send you that refund right away. And he mentioned you can keep it all anyways. But really, all of the information provided in Profit Masters is so valuable to you and your business. You will be so glad that you made that investment. All right, so I want to thank you all for attending again today's webinar on advertising. We will be sending everyone a replay of today's webinar if you'd like to rewatch it or share it with your team. Thank you all again for attending, and make it a great day.